If you're a JavaScript developer, you know the feeling all too well. That constant waiting for dependencies to install, for tests to run, for your project to build. But what if all that waiting could just vanish? Well, today we're diving into a tool that's not just shaking things up, it's aiming to rewrite the rules for the entire JavaScript ecosystem. It's called Bun, and it's built on one radical promise: to be unbelievably fast. So let's just ask the question that's probably on your mind every single day. As you're staring at that terminal, watching that progress bar slowly crawl across the screen, have you ever just wondered, why? Why is all of this so slow? The funny thing is, the problem isn't really JavaScript itself. The real culprit, the hidden bottleneck, is that we are, quote, forcing 5 different tools to parse the same code over and over again. Just think about that for a second. Every single time you run a process, multiple tools are doing the exact same redundant work from scratch. It's kind of crazy when you put it like that. So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to really nail down this slow tooling problem. Then we'll introduce Bun as the solution. We'll take a peek under the hood to see how it pulls off its magic, explore its all-in-one toolkit, and then zoom out to think about what this all means for the future of JavaScript. All right, let's kick things off with the problem itself. It really all boils down to the fragmented, almost patchwork ecosystem that most of us are living in. I mean, just look at a typical JS stack, right? You've got your runtime, that's Node.js, then your package manager, probably NPM or Yarn, then a bundler like Webpack or Vite, a test runner like Jest, and of course a transpiler like Babel or the TypeScript compiler. It's this complex web of at least 5 separate independent tools all duct-taped together, and each one has to start from zero and parse your code all over again. And that complexity, that inefficiency, that is the exact problem Bun was built to demolish. It's a total reimagining of what a developer toolchain can be, built from the ground up as one single unified system. So what is Bun, really? Well, at its core, it's everything. It's a JavaScript runtime, a complete toolchain, and a package manager, all designed for one single purpose: to be dramatically faster by collapsing all those separate pieces into one integrated system. And honestly, this slide says it all. On the left, you've got that complicated list of tools we just talked about, the old way. On the right, the Bun way. It's just Bun. That's it. That's the entire pitch, radical, beautiful simplification. Yeah, it all comes down to this one powerful number, 1. Bun takes the runtime, the bundler, the package manager, the whole shebang, and collapses it into a single native binary. That means one thing to install and one tool that does it all. Okay, so that's a pretty bold claim. How in the world does it actually work? Let's get into the fun stuff and look at the clever engineering that's really behind all of this incredible speed. And this is where things get really fascinating. You see, Node.js runs on Google's V8 engine, and it's written in C++. Bun pretty much throws that entire playbook out the window. It uses a different engine called JavaScriptCore, and it's written in a completely different language called Zig. Let's break that down. First, the engine, JavaScriptCore. If that name rings a bell, it should. It is the exact same high-performance JavaScript engine that powers Apple's Safari browser. It's a huge shift away from V8, which has pretty much been the undisputed king of server-side JS for a decade. Now for the second piece of the puzzle, the language, Zig. Zig is a modern, low-level systems language. And what that means for us is that by using Zig, Bun's creators get extremely precise manual control over things like memory allocation and system calls. And that is a huge reason why it starts up so fast and just flies through file-heavy tasks. And oh my gosh, this is a real game changer for developer happiness: how Bun handles TypeScript. Normally, you need a whole separate toolchain, a build step, a complex config file. Bun just gets rid of all of that. It treats TypeScript as a first-class citizen, using its own super-fast internal transpiler to handle it on the fly. No extra steps. Most of the time, it just works. So that's the core tech. But what does having this all-in-one toolkit actually get you in practice? What are the real-world benefits of a built-in bundler, package manager, and everything else? Well, since the bundler is so tightly integrated, it can do some really powerful optimizations right out of the box. For one, it does tree shaking automatically, which is a great name for just pruning away any code that you've imported but never actually used. It also handles code splitting, breaking your app into smaller chunks so your users only have to download the code they need right when they need it. And here it is. This is one of those first wow moments that everyone has with Bun, the package manager, speed. Running Bun install is just ridiculously fast compared to npm install. We're talking about tasks that took minutes before, now taking just a handful of seconds. It's a wild difference. A big secret to that speed is this really clever caching system. Instead of storing packages by their name, it stores them based on a hash of their actual content. So if two completely different packages happen to contain the exact same file, Bun is smart enough to only store that file once. It's incredibly efficient with both your time and your disk space. Bun also just feels modern. It was built from the ground up with modern standards in mind, like native support for ECMAScript modules or ESM. It also gets browser APIs like fetch, request, and response right out of the box, which makes writing universal code so much easier. And yeah, it even has a built-in test runner that understands TypeScript and JSX with zero configuration. So, when you put all of this together, what does it really mean for the bigger picture? Let's zoom out for a second and think about what this signals for the future of JavaScript and for all of us developers. I think this quote really nails it. Bun is not Node but faster, but a new runtime that happens to be highly Node compatible. And that's a really important distinction. This isn't just a drop-in replacement that's a little bit quicker. It's a fundamentally new way of thinking that also works really hard to be compatible with the world we already live in. So let's just quickly recap those three key principles that make all this speed possible. 1. Fewer layers. It puts everything into one single binary. 2. Shared representations. It is smart enough to never waste time parsing the same file more than once. And 3. Systems-level optimization. Thanks to Zig, it has that fine-grained control right down to the metal. Okay, so if you only take away 3 things from all this, let them be these. First, Bun is an all-in-one system that dramatically simplifies your life as a developer. Second, it gets its radical speed from a unique architecture built on Zig and JavaScriptCore. And third, it's built for the modern web, with things like TypeScript and browser APIs baked right in. Which really brings us to the final big question. After seeing the technology, the speed, and the whole philosophy behind it, what do you think? Is Bun just the latest in a long line of so-called Node.js killers? Or is this something different, something more profound? Could this be the start of an entirely new, faster, more integrated era for JavaScript itself?